Racing at Le Mans is an experience that's unique unto itself. There's a certain ambiance in the air around Le Mans. Not only do we have the best cars in the world, we've got the best drivers in the world, the best teams in the world. There's just a certain something in the air. And that something is unlike anything that I've ever felt at any other race, any other time in my career. Even though I can hear it all going on out there, there's a certain loneliness that's almost overwhelming. It blots out in my mind the fact that I'm here with Doc, who's an excellent co-driver. Even blots out in my mind the fact that we're here with two cars running on CompTA street tires when all the other teams are on racing tires. When I walked out of the pit enclosure and looked across the way and saw three tiers of people in the main grandstand on the pit straight, that was more than I could comprehend. It was Indianapolis and every other major race and sporting event that you've ever seen in America put together. It's impossible to describe, and I was just in awe of this entire experience. But now I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle the experience itself. The race didn't bother me. I didn't know if I could emotionally handle the experience. And I've never had that experience in racing before. It's usually sort of a high, an adrenaline flow. Come on, let's go. And it's a nervous feeling, but it's a good, powerful nervous feeling. We'll spend the first hour sorting our car while all these other crazy men go out and try to win a sprint race, which is generally what happens at Le Mans, particularly toward the back of the grid. Either they've never been here before, or they have been here before and never finished, so they know the reality is that they want to make a really good showing until they fall out. At Le Mans, it was not, and I don't believe that it ever will be, a sort of an adrenaline flow, let's get racing feeling. It's almost sick to your stomach because you're participating in something that you can hardly believe is even happening. Goodrich's commitment to this program is evidenced by the fact that both cars were shipped to the Weissach test facility at Porsche for race preparation. Le Mans is a race that's probably 90% preparation and 10% racing. The test session at Weissach is important not only for the preparation of the cars, but I think it put one driver in both cars with one crew so that we could sort the cars out before we left for the race. Any additional feedback that we got from the other drivers would easily then be sorted out at the racetrack. Right. So it isn't always exactly the same RPM, but I would say that it doesn't get any boost to really talk about till it hits 6. This particular circuit is what you would call almost a go-kart circuit. It's a very narrow, twisty little circuit. It'll bring out all the bad points of the car immediately, whereas on a longer track at Le Mans, we might not notice it till halfway through the race. If I could do this before every single race, it would be worth it.
Demandez la liste des engagés.
James Busby et Paul Miller sont des fidèles des 24 heures du Mans, pilotes américains, associés au Français Marcel Mignot, qui est pilote instructeur à l'école de pilotage du circuit Bugatti. La deuxième Porsche 924 de l'équipe Goodrich à Doc Bundy, Manfred Shorty et Patrick Bédard comme équipage prévu.
Imagine yourself going down the freeway at 220 miles an hour in a traffic jam. That's what the straight at Le Mans resembles. It's easy to terrify me on the highways, just as easy as it is anybody else out there. But in a racing situation, you move into a consciousness that blocks that out completely. And you become capable of operating at these very, very high speeds and making decisions and thoughts that almost come through in very slow motion. The idea of somebody else making a mistake at 200 miles an hour is not particularly pleasing to me. It is a challenge that I'll accept simply because it's part of the race. And at Le Mans, those sorts of speeds are the race. I'm not sure that it's absolutely necessary either, except that it does make us unusual people that we're willing to do it. And maybe that's the excitement of Le Mans.
Off the Mulsanne corner and been passed by a Camaro with a wing on it. Can you check out who that is? That is number 80. Belton is 81. Now, Paul. Pit now.
The track here at Le Mans is in a constant state of change. We qualify at night during the last session, and then the race begins during the day. This makes it absolutely mandatory that during pit stops, all drivers pass on as much information as possible.
Be careful on the main straightaway because it's walking like this, and it's windier out there than it was last night. So just bring it up slowly.
At this point in the race, everything looks almost too good to be true. Both cars are still in. We're second in class, I believe about a lap ahead of the other car. But this is Le Mans, and you just never know.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
The handlers are on the money.
Yeah.
Temperatures are perfect. Everything looks great.
Really easy pace. Should go all night like that.
I remember leaving the pits, going up under the bridge, the Dunlop Bridge, down the hill, and making a left, and my God, the whole sky lit up. There was a terrific Ferris wheel out there, and a fair, and things happening, and people running around, and it gave the impression almost of coming out of a dark tunnel into Disneyland, and the flashing lights, and then immediately a right turn, and it all vanishes. It was a cross between 2001 Space Odyssey and Walt Disney, all in a capsule of about a second and a half. And you do it lap after lap after lap. And if I live to be 1,000, I'll never forget that one. You flash in and out of the reality of the happening when you make a pit stop and change drivers and get out of the car and look across, and there's a terrific sea of people, and then you come back in at midnight and you look across and there's nobody there. They've all gone out in the forest to do whatever French people do in the forest in the middle of the night. And then you say, my gosh, they've gotten bored and gone home. So you go to sleep and you get up and you come back out at 5 o'clock in the morning and the sun's coming up and they're all back. And what have they been doing? Probably having a lot more fun than I have. But I think that those are the only times that you sort of flash back into the real sort of emotional experience of the race.
I'm in the Indianapolis corner. 86 cars sitting off the side of the road here, and it looks terminal.
We know. He's out of the race with mechanical problems. It's up to you and Doc now.
Late in the race, we came in for an unexpected stop. I knew at that point that we had about a 10-lap lead over the second-place car, which was the Chevy Camaro of Gene Felton. And I know Gene's quite a good driver, and the car was well prepared, and it seemed to run like a train the whole time, and they were a real threat to us. I kept thinking, well, it's a car that historically hasn't done well here, so eventually I'll see him come down the pit lane instead of by on the track, and he'll stop and they'll make some major repairs, and it just didn't happen.
This has got to be the most frustrating part of the Le Mans race. Here I sit in the damn pit lane. Gene's out there clicking off the laps. We've run good all day. We got a terrific position in the class, but now the car's tired, I'm tired, the crew's tired. They're working their hearts out trying to get me back out there. All I can hope is that they get it repaired in time. I get back out and retain the lead.
There's no question about a pace that you fall into late in the race that's totally different from anything that you might experience in the front of the race. I can remember thinking to myself, how many times do all those little teeth on all those little gears in the transmission have to get stopped when you engage a synchro mesh? And coming down that into Mulsanne and thinking, okay, I've got 2 downshifts here, shall I make them both? Or shall I skip a gear and save that synchro mesh? I mean, you start thinking as if you were part of the machine rather than operating the machine. You start imagining that your hand is an extension of the transmission, and every time you move the stick, you have a terrific amount of sympathy for the machine itself. I think I must have counted every single shift that I did for the last 2 or 3 hours of the race.
To add frustration to frustration, here we are with a 5-lap lead. We've now lost 5th gear. Gene's going to be going back out. He's running like a freight train down the straight. We will now give up all of our straightaway speed because of our loss of 5th gear. The best we can do is keep a steady pace going, hope that Gene makes a few mistakes, and I know this one's going to go right down to the wire.
There's no lonelier place than the driver's seat during the race, particularly the last hours. Increasing the loneliness is the fact that at the end of the, say, the 22nd hour, your batteries and your radio are pretty much shot, and the only touch that you have with anybody that can feed you any information is maybe for 100 yards down the pit straight.
Doc, I can't hear it. I cannot read you way in the back of the track.
10-4.
Well, here we are, winding down the last few laps, and I never, ever, in my wildest dreams, would have thought that we would have been able to finish, let alone win this race, on only 5 tires.
The enthusiasm runs in waves. It's very, very high in the beginning. It wanes about darkness, which is, oh gosh, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock here in France. And then pretty soon, gee, the race is still going on. They start to march back in. They fill the trees and the stands, and they start getting closer and closer and closer to the safety wall on the pit straight. And the second they see the leading cars cross the finish line, beginning the last lap, they go over the wall. And there would be no possibility of finishing that last lap prior to 4 o'clock because the track is absolutely jammed with people. It must be very much like the running of the bulls in Pamplona, Spain. They kind of hope that the cars will come around, but the officials have been smart enough to stop the lap just prior to its finish and put everybody in the impound area. So they aren't really in any danger, but I think they'd like to be. I think you, at that point, join the crowds, and if they want a little piece of you, I suppose you're willing to fight it out with them, because I don't think that by my nature I'm a whole lot different than the people that came here to watch the race. Otherwise, if I didn't enjoy getting beat up just a little bit, I probably wouldn't have been here in the first place.